So Ja Morant is not my client, but he did what a lot of my clients have done in the past. He did it again. He flashed a gun live on Instagram. Let me tell you a criminal defense attorney's perspective on what would happen to Ja Morant if he did this again in New Jersey. Hi, my name is Daniel M. Rosenberg. I'm a criminal defense attorney and the founding partner of Rosenberg, Perry & Associates. It is also my personal goal and passion to provide education on the criminal justice system before people become involved and entrenched in the system. So, what's going on with Ja Morant? So back in March of 2023, Ja Morant was in a club in Colorado and he displayed a handgun live on Instagram. So no charges were filed in that case. I've got an entire video about a criminal defense attorney's perspective on Ja Morant's first case. If you have any questions on that, feel free to click the link. But we're not talking about his first situation, we're talking about his current situation. And that is, in May of 2023, he did it again. A little bit different though. He's driving in a car with a friend of his and they're live on Instagram and the friend is driving. He shows Ja Morant in the background. Ja Morant does almost identically the same thing. He holds up what appears to be a firearm. Now, no charges have been filed and no law enforcement agencies are even talking about the filing of criminal charges. So, do you want to know what would happen to Ja Morant if this happened right here in New Jersey? I'm about to tell you. So what are the potential charges Ja Morant is facing if this happened right here in New Jersey? Well, firstly, he'd be facing a charge of unlawful possession of a weapon, a crime of the second degree, and possession of a weapon for an unlawful purpose, also a crime of the second degree. In New Jersey, it is illegal to possess a firearm in a public place without a permit to carry. And until recently, there were no permits to carry. So unless Ja Morant had a permit to carry, he cannot possess a firearm in a car unless he is traveling from one place where he can lawfully possess the firearm to another place where he can lawfully possess the firearm. For instance, from your home to a gun range. Now that we know the potential charges, let's talk about applying the law to the specific facts and circumstances of Ja's new case. In order for the state to charge Ja Morant, they're going to need to prove that this was a real gun. If it was a real gun, and if Ja Morant was traveling in a car, it is illegal for him to possess that firearm for two reasons. Number one, he needs to be going from one place where he can lawfully possess the firearm to another. And number two, if you're traveling with a firearm in your car without a permit to carry, it must be locked and secured according to the statute. It's clear that Ja Morant did not have the firearm locked in a secured fashion. That being said, we don't know where he was going or where he was coming from. If charged and convicted of illegally possessing a firearm, Ja Morant would be facing a potential sentence of between 5 and 10 years in state prison. The first 3.5 years of that sentence would have to be served without the possibility of parole. Worthy of note is that any permit or permit to carry concealed out of state is not going to be honored in the state of New Jersey. Let me say that again. If Ja Morant had a permit to carry concealed in any other state in the union and he came to New Jersey, it is not going to be honored. That's something that comes to a shock to a lot of individuals, but it's something that's absolutely critical for people to know when they're traveling through the state, especially if they're exercising their right to bear arms. So, what would happen if this took place in New Jersey and Ja Morant or a client in a similar situation engaged our firm? First, we would absolutely advise our client to invoke their right to remain silent. They're not going to talk to the police. They're not going to talk to the press. They're not going to post anything on social media. They're not going to relay any apologies. Anything you say can be used against you in a criminal proceeding. And even if you're providing a genuine apology, not for criminal conduct, just for putting yourself in this situation, that can be misconstrued into your admitting that you committed a crime. The second thing we would do is talk to our client about what in fact the statute prohibits and what the state would need to prove in order to convict us of that statute. And one of the most significant factors, as I talked about already, is that the state would need to prove that this was a real gun. How are they going to prove that? They have an Instagram video and no witnesses other than the driver and Ja Morant. Who is going to provide information or statement that this was in fact a real gun? Certainly not going to be our client. So it benefits Ja Morant and anyone else involved to continue to remain silent. Now, we can't provide legal guidance to the driver of the car, but certainly the driver of the car can absolutely seek his own advice and counsel, and I anticipate that he would be receiving the same advice. I would also explain to our client that just because he had an allegation months before that a very similar circumstance happened, that's not something that the state can automatically use against you in order to prove their case. That's what's called a prior bad act, and that's a term of art in the criminal justice world. In order for the state to be able to argue that to a jury, they need to file an application, and there needs to be very clear criteria that are met in order for the state to be able to present that information. So advising our client of that will help them understand what our defenses are and how we're handling the case. Finally, we would engage with the prosecution, open the lines of communication. Any law enforcement agencies that are involved, we would contact and communicate with. All communication would flow through our office, and we would wait. We would maintain communication with law enforcement and hope that they come to the conclusion that we came to, which is that if they charge, they are not going to be able to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. So, absent Ja Morant or his friend speaking to the police, it is extremely, extremely unlikely that he would be charged in New Jersey with a crime. So if you, a friend, or family member has been charged with a gun crime, contact our office. As you can see, having an experienced defense team early on can help put you in the best position for the best possible result. So schedule a consultation with our office. We'll take the time we need to go over your case and explain all the facts and circumstances to you and put you in the best position to make an informed decision. And if you like what you've seen in this video, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if there's a topic that you'd like to learn more about, please contact our office. I'd love to hear about it. We are criminal trial attorneys. We have your back. That's what we do.